coming
to
up.
break that down is a lot of these companies have hired women to run them, right? And a lot of these women are harassing men. They discriminate against the men. They put the woman up first, or they promote the woman over the man. And I guarantee you, if someone took the time and did a study on sexual harassment from women to men, most of these women would be in jail today. They would be lined up with Harvey Weinstein, having lunch in jail.
I am speechless.
Do me a kind of favor, because I'm black and I'm slow and I'm trying to figure it all out as you're speaking. Give me a normal definition for sexual harassment. What is it?
Yeah, well, so there's no normal definition for sexual harassment, but an American legal definition from the EEOC guidelines would be it's a form of sex discrimination in which you make either quid pro quo, you make submitting to sexual activity a condition of employment, or behavior in the workplace is so pervasive that it in and of itself becomes so severe or pervasive that it becomes a condition of employment. It negatively affects your ability to do the job, and it is then therefore considered a form of discrimination on the basis of sex.
So to break that down is a lot of these companies have hired women to run them, right? And a lot of these women are harassing men. They discriminate against the men. They put the woman up first, or they promote the woman over the man, and they do that. So is that sexual harassment?
So the overwhelming majority of people who harass others at work are men.
No, that's not true.
It's absolutely true. Now here
I got
we're
proof
in
that's
my...
not true.
Yes, what's
But
your
let
proof?
me hear yours first. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You're my
No,
guest.
well, so the studies that I have read, many studies, will show that the overwhelming majority of harassers are men. The overwhelming number of victims are women. Most of the men who are harassed by other men, although it does also sometimes happen that a woman will harass a man. And under the law, that is completely possible. The law is gender neutral. It does not say that only women can be victims and only men can be perpetrators. So in either case, in terms of if you're in the case, under the context of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, you need to show that it was discriminatory, you were treated this way because of your sex, either man or woman, and you need to show that it negatively affected your employment in a way that was severe and pervasive.
Do you study men who have been sexually harassed by women?
I haven't spoken to victims, men or women.
And why not?
That wasn't within the study. Whenever you do a research study, you have to make hard choices. And you know, as I say to my graduate students, the best dissertation is a done dissertation. You got to get it done.
Yeah.
And so I was already doing a lot. I looked at all of the legal history and court case law in the U.S. I looked at legal history in France. I did interviews, but I did interviews with experts.
I guarantee you, if someone took the time and did a study on sexual harassment from women to men, most of these women would be in jail today. They would be lined up with Harvey Weinstein, having lunch in jail, right? And I am encouraging men now, because I've heard so many stories over the last 30 years or so. I'm encouraging them to start reporting to women, having them arrested, documenting everything that happened, so that the men can start putting these women in jail and not let them get away with it. Is that a good idea? Because more men are being harassed now.
So Harvey Weinstein was
no, I'm asking just one particular question. Is that a good suggestion?
Well, there is a big problem with it, because we've been talking about sexual harassment under Civil Rights Act.
My suggestion to the men.
It's civil. It's a civil law, so you don't go to jail.
I know, but my suggestion to men is to start to report the women for sexual harassment, right?
Anyone who's been victimized, man or woman, should report it. And for men who have been, and there are men who have been victimized, and transgender people as well are at high rates victimized. But for men who have been victimized, whether by a man, which is much more likely, or women,
no, not today. It's mostly women. It's really mostly women.
Well, I would love, maybe after we're done talking, you'll send me those studies, because I have been studying this
Just
topic
go study.
for 30
years. You have
years.
all the degrees.
Yes, and with my degrees and the studies, I have never seen that statistic.
Because they lied to you then. But you never done a study, that's why.
But
I gotta ask
other people have done so. Let me just finish what I'm saying. That I want to give you, I want to partially agree with you to say something, which is that it is, I think there are studies that suggest that when men have been victimized, especially sexually, it is more difficult for them to come forward and to report it because of the gender stereotypes that men are supposed to be strong,
Yeah.
they're not supposed to be victimized, that, all of this. And so there's a kind of a double stigma. It's already difficult
But that's
to
not a
stigmatize.
stigma. A
with
man is
double.
not supposed to be a beta male. You got to
No, but
admit that, right?
when a man
But a
is,
man shouldn't be a beta male, right?
I'm saying that social
Should a
society.
man be a beta male?
I don't deal in shoulds.
No. Would you marry a beta male?
That's a personal question. I'm already married, so I can't. My father used
Is
to
he a
say.
beta?
My father said about my husband that he's a what did he say? He's a closet alpha. That he's an alpha pretending not to be, something like that. I have to remember. I'll have to ask my mom.
Oh, so he
But
was really an alpha male, but he pretended to be a beta male with you?
that he didn't come off as he comes back as more laid back than
More
maybe
like a
he
beta
really
male.
is. Yeah.
Amazing.
But yeah.
The Me Too movement, you heard of that,
Sure.
right? Wouldn't you agree with me that they've gone too far with that? It's a joke now.
No, I would not agree.
Why not? Why not?
We have so far to go. So I mean, the truth is, it's a real problem, and a tiny, tiny proportion of victims ever come forward. And this, I was not expecting this Harvey Weinstein. I was not expecting him to be convicted. This was a
Me
big.
either, because it
this
was on false allegations, right?
And that wasn't why. It's because so many women who have come forward with, it's just so hard for women to win, even when they're telling the truth again and again, which is the overwhelming majority of the time. It's very rare that women
You know
make
why
at
that
least
is,
up.
right?
Why what is?
Why sometimes women don't win when they make these accusations. You know why they don't win sometimes, right?
Well,
can tell you why.
what you're gonna say, I'm
What?
sure is not what I'm gonna say.
When you say,
but
why
this
is
is
it?
your show.
No,
so
but
you
you're my
should-
guest. You're the expert. Why is it sometimes that the women don't win those cases?
Well, it's very hard to win a case in criminal court of sexual assault.
Right.
The whole criminal system is based and understandably so, rightfully so. We want to avoid people being wrongfully convicted, and so it's innocent beyond. You have to prove that someone is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
Does that concern you that these women can ruin the reputation of men by false accusations? That could happen?
It's
Does that
so
concern
much.
you?
Of course, I wouldn't want that to happen
Yeah.
to someone who was falsely accused. But what is much, much more common is so many more women who are victimized who never come forward.
That's not true.
No, it actually is true.
No.
Believe me, I'm the expert. That's why you brought me
Yeah,
out
you're the
here.
expert.
I'm telling
You're
you,
the
it's
expert.
true. You might
You're-
not like to
Listen,
believe it, but it's
you're
true.
the expert, but I have the common sense. So I know that's not true, right?
Well-
But let me tell you this.
Common sense is sometimes a dangerous thing.
Common sense is the only way to go.
It leads you to ignore facts and to reinforce your preconceived assumptions.
I know why
So be
somebody...
cautious about that.
No, common sense is... The problem is people don't use common sense anymore. They use the intellect, and the intellect lacks common sense. And that's why the world going to hell in a handbasket.
So why the hell am I sitting here?
Do you use common sense? You don't use
I
common
do
sense?
use common sense, but I'm saying
I
preconceived
thought
notions.
you used common sense.
Of course I use common sense.
Oh.
But I also like to see the facts and the studies, and I know that we can often assume things are right based on what everybody else, the kind of preconceived notions, and those are often wrong.
Let me ask you this because of time.
Yeah.
Some of the time, the women, most of the time, even though the courts are on the women's side, not the ladies' side, they can accuse you, say whatever they want, and get away with it. But the reason that I'm glad that a lot of these cases the women lose is because women are not all, but most women are. It's easy for women to lie, and they don't mind destroying you. If they get angry at you, because a lot of women, you hit on them and they go, "Yeah, I want to do it. Let's do it. Let's do it." And then as soon as you do it, they get mad because they become addicted to you. They want to control you. And then they'll falsely accuse you. And the courts are set up to believe the woman over the man. So that's why this needs to end, because a lot of these women don't mind destroying men. They'll destroy the men's children in the womb and outside the womb. We need to stop this movement before it goes too far. Don't you agree?
It sounds like you've had some really painful experiences.
Oh, no, I've
with
never
women.
had that. I
I'm
just
really
know other
sorry
men.
about that.
I just know other men who've gone through that. But do you agree it's time to end this type of this crazy so-called women? And look at the women in the movement. Nobody want them anyway. I think they're mad because no one want them. They're like lesbians, and they're fat, they're ugly, they're short hair. Nobody want them. I think they're mad about that. Wouldn't you agree?
No, I wouldn't. Sorry. I think we're talking past each other.
What do you mean?
I am speechless. What can I say?
Why are you speechless?
Because I'm at a loss for words. No, I think the sexual assault and discrimination is a really big problem. And I think that it's great that we're starting to address the issue, but there's a lot more to go. I do not think that the criminal justice system can solve this issue. I think we need to look into companies, and I mean, you were saying that women are running the companies. There's actually very few women in positions of power. It's overwhelming, and it's not just women and men. Again, it's overwhelmingly white men.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with it is that there hasn't been accountability, and when you have
What do you mean by that?
the power inequalities and the fact that people are able to mistreat people of lower status in the workforce is enabling some of the not just sexual harassment, but also the gender discrimination and the racism.
So you're saying
and
that,
these things are
you're
often
saying
combined.
that white men in position of power are mistreating employees?
I'm saying that well, certainly it happens, and that there needs to be, you know, we know that there's less sexual harassment when hierarchies are more flat, for instance, and that the greater inequalities of power, and when
But you
people
have
no one
of
they
that.
can complain.
There's no proof that white
Oh, there's
men.
there's
no,
been a lot
it's
of
just made up
studies.
stuff. It's not true.
Okay, well,
but I gotta ask: is there
sure.
such a thing as a strong woman? Are women strong?
I think women are very strong.
Then why do they need laws to force people to do what they cannot do?
Why do men need laws to protect their rights?
No,
I
no,
mean,
no. I'm
this
asking,
is-
if these women are strong, why do they need laws to force men to do what they want?
I think men and women alike need laws. We are a nation of laws, and that
But
is
the
supposed
laws
to
that we
protect.
have protect men
You know,
and women.
the laws.
Why do they need special laws?
Most of the time, they don't protect, and most of the time, you're not going to be able to resolve your issue in court. There are a tiny percentage of these cases ever make it to court. So it's not enough.
It's not like amazing to hear you say that. That's not true. It's so not. Have you talked to Gloria Allred lately?
All the time.
How would you
Every night before I go to sleep.
How would you like to marry that one, huh?